Hello. Hello. Anyone around here speak basketball? This is Adam Silver.
Vision 6'9". Welcome to the Confederacy of Dunks Basketball Podcast. I am your host, Freddie Rivas, and who good sir with the very well lit, detailed background are you?
I'm your producer. My name's Matt Duncan. Freddie, how you doing? You feeling good about the first month of the season?
I'm feeling very good. We got out of that, 7-game, fairly difficult stretch, 4-3, which we're going to talk about. I'm feeling great. Everything's going according to plan, sort of, for me.
Sweet. That's all I wanted to hear. I'm just so proud of you.
Oh, thanks. Oh my God, that's great. Wow, what a warm, like a blanket of a welcome from you. This is Confederacy of Dunks. We are a hardcore Raptors podcast. We have comedians, analysts, entertainers, all sorts of people. As long as you are a basketball nut, you are welcome. We're with Raptors Republic. And I'll say this, I've been saying for a long time now, and I'm going to keep saying it, free Brittany Griner. And let's get going with, we have 2 new guests today, so it should be a fun podcast. Let's start with you, Jamar. And we talked a bunch about Pascal last week. Shout out to all the people who gave, the commenters who gave us feedback on my Pascal take. I was saying that I can think of 6 or 7 guys sort of off the top of my head better than him. And then it starts to get foggy, which to me is absolutely wild and speaks to the season that he's having. But, we'll get back to Pascal later, if he continues his tear, but we've talked about him a bunch. So my question to you is, after October, 4-3 record, fairly decent competition, and the Raptors are above 500. What besides Pascal is the most positive thing to you right now?
For me, it's the continuity. They returned so many guys from last year compared to other teams, and you're seeing it on the defensive end. It feels like every game somebody on Twitter, because I'm on Twitter a lot, from the other team is like, the Raptors are annoying. They're just annoying with all this length. I'm pretty sure Hawks fans were talking about this yesterday. They're just annoying with all their length and everybody's the same size. That's another thing. Every time an opposing coach comes in and the interviews on shoot around or anything like that, they're always like, yeah, man, this guy's 6'8", and this guy's 6'9", and this guy's 6'7", and blah blah blah. Like, they're all the same. So
it's a lot.
Yeah, it's year 2 of Vision 6'9", and you're seeing especially the defensive systems with Nurse, because last year when the season was getting underway, a lot of guys were out of place. And then people are like, can we run these complex systems? And we keep leaving these corner threes open and all stuff and all these things like that. So definitely the continuity, you can see it early. And that's part of the reason why the Raptors are 4-3 with a pretty damn tough schedule. So Pascal taking another step up is one thing, but just having everybody together. One Gary Trent, I feel, is in a great scoring rhythm. It's not like he has to force things.
Yep.
OG, I know some people have been confused with his offensive role, because some people have just wanted him to be a 3-and-D guy, but he's a lot more than that. And then you've seen Fred be comfortable taking a step back in terms of offensive responsibility, doing some things off ball, which has made him focus on the defensive side of the ball more. And Scotty. Scotty's more comfortable. You see all the threes he fired up yesterday.
Oh my God, that was
so yeah. It just feels like the team, the starters at least. The bench is still a question mark outside of Precious and Chris Boucher, but just everybody's comfort level is what I like outside of Pascal, because it's just made things smoother this year to start.
Yeah, I mean, so many good points there. And, I think what I want to touch on is I love this perception of the Raptors being annoying. It kind of brings me back to like when people played us, when Kyle was sort of like the main ethos of the team, they were generally bothered. And whether it was like a charge or, the 2-for-1, like it's sort of like this micromanagement within the game that really is upsetting and frustrating to play against. Like, we're making sure your star player can't do his thing. You have to go to your backup guys. I when I was watching the broadcast for the second time, Alvin Williams and Devin were sort of riffing on this idea that, Devin first said, like, you got to be really patient when you play the Raptors. And, Alvin sort of like one-upped him and said, like, it's not just patience. You have to be really determined and sort of like, confident. It's like aggressive driving, right? You kind of have to, when it's your turn, you have to go. And I think any hiccup in that is going to throw you. So, for instance, a team like the Celtics, everyone's ready. They can make a team like the Raptors and our over-aggression look absolutely foolish and just punish us, and everyone shoots when they're supposed to. And it's like, wow, how are we just getting smashed by the Celtics? But, a team like the Hawks, you have enough insecure people, maybe you're too focused on like, Trey is the everything. And all of a sudden it's like, wait a second, what are we supposed to do against this team? There's length everywhere. And yeah, I kind of want to touch on, you made a lot of good points. I want to touch on OG and Boucher as well, but I'm going to leave some for Stolfi here just in case. But yeah, my last thing I'll say is, Jamar, I think continuity, it has been for a long time, but I really think it's one of the most underrated things in the NBA. And people don't really understand how playing with the same people really sort of gets better as it goes along. Sometimes there's a toxic relationship, but let's, take Atlanta even, right? I think Murray and Trey are going to get better as they play together more. And, stuff like that doesn't really get accounted for. And, we all want big transactions, right?
Right.
But, yeah, lots of good points. Let's go to you, Stolfi. What other than Pascal making this, seeming jump from like third all NBA team to I guess second all NBA team lock, or I don't want to say fringe first all NBA team because maybe that's getting a bit crazy, but what's the most positive thing for you?
For me, I mean, aside from Pascal, obviously, is Scotty, man. I mean, I'm just excited about him. He's gotten bigger, stronger. Like, he's shooting that three, like we said, at like 50%, which I don't know if that's gonna continue, but man, he's taking more. And again, that continuity, like just the fact that they've been now together for at least the season, and this starting five is now started. So this full five has started. I think the 7 games, aside from Freddie sitting out the other game, whatever. It's like we're getting that. We have a full team. Our full 5 starters are playing every night, and I'm really excited also about OG. I had this theory like last season that OG cannot be offensively effective if he is with Pascal or Scotty at the same time. But he proved me wrong. Like, he's been proving me wrong all season this season. I don't know what his confidence is through the roof. I don't know. I think these guys are confident this year too, and I'm really excited about that. Lastly, Alvin Williams is getting a little bit better as a sports broadcaster.
He's great. I'm loving Alvin.
Yeah, he's gotten better, man. Like last season, it was tough. You could see it was his first year, He was getting out of the gates. But
he's been funny from the get-go, I think. Like,
I mean, he never passes on an opportunity to dump on Kyle.
I know. When he made fun of Kyle's acting and hustle in the preseason, I was like, whoa, man. Like, I actually felt like pain for Kyle. Like, as an
that's
actor,
why
it's
Kyle
like,
threw a basketball at him offset. I think in Miami pregame, he chucked a basketball at him. It's like, oh man, forget this guy.
I mean,
I see you talking about me.
Yeah, and Kyle, I mean, yeah, like we always talk about Kyle, but his feelings were probably hurt a little bit, But yeah, sorry, so Stolfi, back to the kind of confidence you were talking about.
Yeah, no, just in general, like I think this team overall is way more confident. Like think about the start of last season. What did we? I don't know. We were putrid. We were like 3-3. I don't even remember. It was awful.
Yeah, we didn't have Pascal for a long time. Right?
Yeah,
it took a while to work his way back.
I just like the fact that we get to watch this whole team play together. And we have two strong, off the bench, Boucher and Precious, and we have that length is fun to watch. We only got longer and stronger. I mean, I don't know what this means, for the playoffs, and I will get into that area and all that stuff. I mean, we're only 7 games in; it's still very early, but there's a lot to be excited about for sure.
Yeah, I agree that the confidence is great, and I feel like you can sense the competition. A lot of the summer, we're obviously searching for topics, that sort of thing. There was kind of like the Precious Gary debate. And, you just can't predict everything, right? So Gary kind of won the spot, kept the spot. But I think what you're already seeing, and, I'm a big Precious guy. So pardon me if this is like Precious blasphemy, but are we sure Precious is better than Boucher? As far as impact, like I'm not 100% on that, to be honest. Like I feel like as far as his career, of course, but watching those two come on together, I think is something special. I think they push each other. I think, Boucher really, is a veteran at this point in the league. He knows, he got his money. He has earned his way. Like really quite the journey for Chris Boucher. And to me, with him being healthy, I'm seeing the bench impact right away, where it's like he comes on and he makes a difference one way or the other. Like it's not just the three. He'll find a way. He's also, by the way, shooting outrageously from 3 right now.
And Koloko, sorry, can we just say how
yes,
we gotta love this guy?
Yeah. So
sorry.
No. I'm glad you brought him up, because he was sort of, I had a couple backup things. Like my major sort of like things I'm just blown away by and optimistic about is I feel like Koloko being good enough to be in the rotation pushes Precious, Boucher, Kem. Otto's not even here yet, and it also allows Otto to take his time coming back. And I just really, I shouldn't have got confused by Summer League, because it's so difficult to be a big man in Summer League. But I kind of assumed that we got Koloko with the intention of being like, hey, your whole first season is going to be in the G League. And hopefully you come back and like maybe get some minutes here and there. I was absolutely not thinking that Koloko was going to like start or just have like big assignments, like guard Embiid right away, guard Capella, just be a big part of the ethos of this team. So that for me is huge. And then I think the last thing I'm really optimistic about that I hadn't really factored in, we're all talking about OG as this, when is his big step coming? And we're just thinking about OG on offense. And I think we're all seeing OG take another step forward on defense. And that to me is pretty special. Like the impact is out of control. I mean, I guess we'll just like leave Tyrese Maxey aside. Like no one can guard him on this team. But other than Maxey, it seems like we are potentially going to have a defensive answer for most players in the NBA. Again, early, etc. But I think to your point as well, Stolfi, there's just quite a bit to be excited by.
Well, let me just touch on OG for a second, because like everybody, the last couple seasons, and he's been working on it the last couple seasons, the offensive creativity, trying to get his shot off and stuff like that. Remember last year when Pascal was out, OG was slated as the #1 option. It didn't work out that way. And then obviously all the offseason rumors, oh, he's not happy in his offensive role, blah,
Yeah.
blah, blah, which turned out to be BS if you ask me.
Yeah.
But OG doesn't talk very much. We all know this.
Mhm.
And for him to come out and say, hey, I want recognition defensively, that was a big eye opener right there.
Yeah.
Right. And then now you're seeing it. He leads the NBA in steals per game. Last night he had 6 steals, 2 blocks. And I was looking this up earlier by coincidence, and the Raptors have only had 1 all defensive selection in their history.
Wow.
Just 1.
Kawhi?
It was Kawhi, second team the year he was here, 2019.
Wow.
And it's hilarious because you think of the year after Kawhi left, the Raptors were ranked 2nd in defense, and they had Kyle, and they had Fred, and they had OG, and they had Pascal.
Mhm.
And a lot of voters, like Zach Lowe, for example, brought up the fact that they have so many good defenders that we can't just pinpoint one. Therefore, everybody's left off the all defensive team. And then the next year, you see 3 Celtics make it or 3 Sixers make it. And it's just like, wait a minute, where's the consistency here? So it's like we have to, I think the players have realized this too, because not only OG's talked about it, Fred has talked about it. It's like they have to campaign for themselves a little bit more if they want to, end up with an all defense selection. Even Scotty's talked about it. So I feel like they're doing that a lot more and they're backing it up. And the way OG's playing, again, it's early, it's only 7 games, but the way he's playing, I don't see how he's left off an all defensive team. Like the fact that they've only had 1 all defense selection is embarrassing.
That's okay. Such a good point. And you're really touching on like Raptors ethos, because we've always had to, back to the Chris Bosh All-Star days. Like, I remember him in the cowboy hat. Like the Raptors have to campaign for themselves.
Yeah.
And, other teams campaign for their guys. Like I remember when the Marcus Smart campaign started last year, and I was pretty confused. I was like, I feel like there's better defensive players than him on his own team. Like Robert Williams,
Yeah.
and I was sort of like, wait, what? Like, I'm not saying he's not an incredible defender, but just sort of defense is always interesting, right? It's a reputational thing where even after guys fade away, like a Rondo or whatever, there's still that lingers with them. But it's almost like, it takes a long time for them to be recognized on defense. And yeah, kudos to OG and the squad for being like, all right, we're going to have to like start pushing this narrative. Otherwise people will simply not give it to us.
I mean, they don't have the team. They don't have the national games to do it.
They don't.
A lot of people are not. A lot of the writers are not watching the Raptors. Although I feel like that's been a tick up lately. But just in general, they're not watching the Raptors. And if the Raptors only have like a handful of like 4 or 5 or something now national TV games a year, it's just like they don't get that opportunity to shine. And people are like, oh, you know what? Let me pay attention to this guy a little bit more. Let me look up on some of his old teams. Blah blah blah. I feel like that's how a lot of the voting goes, right?
Yeah,
so,
totally.
Yeah, so
that's the classic Raptors conundrum, right? Like we're just always, doesn't matter. You win a championship and you're still just like, oh, it's just Toronto.
Yeah,
Like,
it really is. It's like, we win a championship and it's like, man, this is crazy. You want to know what's crazier? AD to the Lakers.
Yeah.
And it's like, okay, cool. But I think the idea of campaigning and sort of being on national TV is it's one of those things you don't want to get stuck on it as a fan, but it is true. You have to factor it in. Miles Turner was talking about it on the Watch Pod, just how him and Halliburton and Buddy Hield are sort of talking about like they've won national game in Indiana, and I'm not saying Miles Turner has deserved to be on any particular whatever defensive team, but he was saying I have led the league in blocks, and it's gone largely unnoticed, and I think there's a lot of truth to that. Okay, let's move on to that. Actually, that's our last subject.
Perfect
segue.
I had another one lined up, but this is breaking, so let's do it. I mean, lots going on in Brooklyn. I sort of thought the season started. We'll see what happens. I underestimated Kyrie. So first of all, there's the whole kind of, tweet about the, anti-Semitic movie. And then also fans are going to games. Reporters are asking Kyrie. So that's a whole circus there. Oddly enough, the Simmons thing is kind of like, he's slowly working himself back in, I guess. Like that's less of a deal. But today we had the firing of Steve Nash. I didn't really think that was going to happen after Josai said, like, the coach is safe. And then as if to one up themselves, the leading candidate is Ime Udoka. So maybe that's like just like sensational reporting, and he's not actually the leading candidate, but it seems like he might be. So just wildness from Brooklyn. Let me start with you, Jamar. Like where do you feel like, what do you feel like you want to say about this Brooklyn Nets tire fire?
At what point does Kevin Durant just say enough? Like he's already asked for a trade.
Yeah.
And I feel like he's gonna do it again. He's gonna do. I give him the rest of 2022 to demand a trade. I feel like, what is he, 34, 30, going on 35 years old?
Yeah, I think so.
This was his issue coming in, where it's just like they were just all over the place for the last couple of years, whether it be Harden or Kyrie in the vaccine or Kyrie now or Steve Nash. It's just like it feels like everything is just KD just wants to hoop. It's just like I feel bad for him sometimes because it's just like a lot of this circus has nothing to do with him. He's just trying to hoop. And how does the Udoka thing, how would that work? Would that be a thing for next year, or is he just like obviously suspended from Boston, and if they wanted him they could get him like right away? I don't even know how that works.
Yeah, that's a good question. I think he's suspended from Boston. Maybe it's a thing where they have to ask permission from Boston. I know at one point there was a report that said Boston was sort of like, if anyone does want to interview him, they're allowed to. I feel like I read that at one point. But
it's not a league suspension, right? It's just like
a team suspension.
Yeah, team suspension.
Okay, but about Nash, and you're saying the vote of confidence that he's our coach and blah blah blah. From my experience, anytime you have to say that, it's the total opposite. That's because it's like you're in denial. Yeah. And the writing on the wall was for Nash. I mean, and you could see it. Look at the way he acted out against Milwaukee. Did you see the look in his eyes? Like this is not Steve Nash. This is a guy who's like, my job, I could get fired at any moment. Don't screw me over type of thing. That's what I took it as. Like anytime you see someone act like someone as mild-mannered as Nash act like that, that the pressure is getting to him. But I didn't see the Nets being that good as currently constructed. Agreed. They are missing some guys like that could help them score, because I feel like KD and Kyrie, if they don't score 60 points a game combined, they don't have a chance. And when you're missing a guy like Seth Curry that can give you a good 16 to 18 points and stretch the floor and stuff like that, and Joe Harris isn't like at his normal form yet, so they do have some guys who can like help that aren't there right now. But just everything together, it's like Brooklyn, the whole plan was to be a championship contender. Once again, they don't look like a team that would get, to be in the top 6 in the East. And I was thinking about this before they even started, whatever they are right now, 2-5 or something like that. Or
I think they're 1-5, yeah.
Yeah, something like that. So yeah. And then you have Kyrie just every 2 seconds there's something going on. It's just something to the next, to the next, to the next. And when Kanye West is endorsing you,
yeah,
right. So yeah, my thoughts just go to KD and be like, well, enough is enough. He's gonna demand a trade again, and then it's gonna be like the off season where he had the offseason on hold for a good few weeks, where everybody's trying to figure out where he's going to go. There's no way in hell he's staying the whole season in Brooklyn. I don't think.
Yeah, I think you hit on the, you hit on all the good stuff, and KD is sort of where my head's at as well. I also put a little picture in the chat for you guys if anyone's curious. Back to Lord of the Rings reference. Nash went full Bilbo Baggins eyes. They were bursting out of his head.
Yeah.
Like it was wild. And Nash is mild mannered. Like he's everything about him. Like he's the guy that would lay on the court for his back in the back half of his career. Like Nash is pretty chill. Which is also why it's funny you made fun of him, Stolfi. But yeah, I mean, I think this is a Raptors podcast, right? So I gotta say, I feel like Masai and other sort of GMs around the league where, when it's like, oh, Brooklyn has the upper hand, it's like, we'll give you 10 days. Like, wait till you're in the middle of the season and KD demands a trade. Then your offers are going to be lower and you're going to be more desperate. And that's how we're going to do it. Like, so, I mean, Brooklyn, absolute, just wild situation there. Somehow James Harden is looking like the guy who's like, yeah, like I made the right decision here. Yeah, we will see what happens with KD. And I also just want to echo what you said, Jamar, about Brooklyn. It was a classic. I think I felt the same about the Clippers, for different reasons, but it's like, I'm kind of done with the, like, this team's good on paper, AKA they're good. I'm like, you got to actually show me. And I think similar, but different with those two teams. It's like, they're both prove 'em teams for me at this point.
I have a lot of faith in the Clippers, but the injuries, I don't know, who knows what's up with Kawhi. I was pegging Clippers to be in the Western Conference Finals. I mean, it's still very early, but this Kawhi thing is really concerning because now when you have to miss like weeks at a time,
And I think that's sort of where I'm coming from, and I'm for the sake of health, I'm happy to be wrong, but just with him and PG, I don't really see. I don't really see the depth with the Clippers, and I also don't see them just being this kind of juggernaut team. If everyone's healthy, want to see them in the playoffs. But anyways, like that's a diversion. But like Brooklyn, I think even if Kyrie was like chill, I don't really. The roster construction, everything about this team doesn't give me confidence that like, oh, that's a team that's going to like take care of business or deal with adversity well. I don't want to take all the points though. Stolfi, where are you at with this Brooklyn kind of tire fire?
Well, I mean, I look at it just to take a different take on it. That look for Nash, I think it's a good thing. This guy, I don't think he was respected from day one, being the coach of that team. I don't think anybody really respected him as a coach in general. And they should have. Like, I mean, this guy, two-time MVP. Like, this guy knows basketball. And I think just being in Brooklyn, just from day one, he was disrespected, and he needed to get out of there. He needs to be on a different team. I think.
I mean, you don't even respect him.
I don't even respect him. That's
didn't Kyrie have that whole thing where? Well, Kyrie's always saying stuff, but didn't Kyrie have that whole thing about how we don't even really need a coach?
Yeah.
Yes.
It was like, and
when you say from day one, you're right.
Yeah, and they didn't even want Nash in the first place. I mean, so he was always up against, players that didn't want to play for him, and that's why you're getting these guys. So what I think though with Brooklyn is that because Nash is gone, they're going to bring in a new coach, whoever it is. I think you're going to see Brooklyn play better, which is an interesting take. That's my hot take.
Hey, drop a hot take in here.
Yeah, they're gonna start putting things together. I don't know if Nash was the problem, but I think he was the problem. Just because, not because he's a bad coach, just because nobody wanted to respect him as a coach.
Yeah, I mean,
at least the main guys.
There is some reason to think that like a change of any kind, even if it's sort of like a performative one, could potentially be good.
Yeah.
I'm definitely in the camp of kind of thinking that what's toxic in Brooklyn is just so beyond Nash.
Yes.
However, like sometimes something, whatever, clicks in the right direction.
Yeah. And how does Kyrie get away with saying what he says, and he's not getting suspended, or he's not getting any sort of?
Yeah, that has definitely been talked about, because even when what was it, a couple years ago, I want to say, when Myers Leonard went that route, and he got suspended for a week, and then he ended up, because he's not good, and he ended up not really even playing again. So like Kyrie, they're just kind of going with the flow and making it get worse. And I mean, that's not going to go away. Like the game, I think yesterday they made him unavailable to the media. I mean, at some point he's going to have to talk to the media again.
Yeah.
So, and by that point, Kyrie will probably say something else. So it's a mess.
I know what one of the questions he had was like, something about like the retweet, and I guess like he sort of insinuated that like that's not like an endorsement, and I don't know what a retweet is, but I think it's pretty close to an endorsement of something. I mean, maybe it's like a Twitter thing, but I think it's a good point. Like the rubber's gonna meet the road there somewhere. But we're running up on an hour here, so we're going to wrap this up, but I want to thank you both so much for doing the pod. It was a fun one. We got silly. We got serious too. Let me go to you first. Well, I'll bring in Maddie here for the plug afterwards, but let me go to you first. Jamar, obviously with Raptors Republic, you're with TSN, but, where can people find you? We'll post your socials, of course, but, what do you want to let people know? I do as many recaps and previews for Raptors games as I can on Raptors Republic. My handle, Jamar, JAMARBH, if you're listening to this, not the video version. So you can follow me there. I have a link on my Twitter to my Raptors Republic stuff. And I'm trying to do as much as I can this season regarding that. So I like to, for my recaps, I like taking everybody's scope from the X's and O's to what the players say after the game, because I have access to that through TSN and also just social media. I'm on Twitter all the time, so I kind of know what Raptors fans want in that sort of aspect. So just check out my previews and my recaps on Raptors Republic, and that's where my stuff is. Amazing. Well, I'm happy that you joined the podcast. I'm a fan of your work, and join another time, please. And everyone follow Jamar and support him. Stolfi, what's up? What do you want to let people know? What's going down? Actor, comedian, always working on stuff, at Stolfi Comedy on Instagram, if you want to laugh, Solid Jams on TikTok, just making funny stuff every once in a while. Get in there. Any cancer survivors out there? I just wrote a book called The Comedian versus Cancer. So, go get it. If you're listening, yeah, man. So that's my thing. Just working every day. Taking jump shots. I'm playing basketball tonight. Wallace Emerson Rec Center. Check out that wet jump shot. If you're listening to this tomorrow, show up to Wallace. The day before. Or the next day. There's a lot of construction, but the community center's still there. Thank you, Stolfi. Appreciate it, man. Maddie, let's wrap this baby up. What do you want to let people know? About Raptors Republic. Maybe we can drop a little paywall jazz too. Right, yeah. Thanks for listening, watching. If you're watching on YouTube, please like and subscribe. If you want to hear the full episode, go to the Rapcast on your favorite podcatcher, and you can subscribe there to hear our full episodes. And go to RaptorsRepublic.com. Of course, they've got that paywall. They got that paywall, $6 a month for all the premium content. Nice. Okay. You want that for a quarter of the cost of staying verified on Twitter. Not bad. Not bad when you got to pay that much to use Twitter now. So, support the writers. Go to RaptorsRepublic.com. And, that's pretty much it. Amazing. And I'll just thank everyone for listening, for supporting, for commenting, all that stuff. Check us out. And thank you so much. Maddie, if you feel like we're done, we're good to go, please just give me those words I love so much. Okay. Listen to full episodes of the Confederacy of Dunks only on the Rapcast.